This is part two of our chat with Amanda Marples.
And how did your book, The Healing Workbook, with tips and guided exercise to help overcome trauma, come about?
Also on kind of health titles. One is self-care tips for students, and the other one is not out yet. I've just finished it, but it's a book of a gift book, quotes and affirmations for neurodivergent people. They're both pseudonyms, though, those two titles. But the Healing Workbook is, I got so much out of writing it, and it feels very personal to me, that book. So yeah, I'm very proud of that. And it looks so pretty as well. They did such a great job with
It's a lovely cover.
the design. It's lovely. I really like it.
Yes. I wanted to ask you when you wrote. When do you find time to write?
Yeah, this is I always feel a bit guilty about this question, actually, because the answer is not it's not really what you want to hear. I don't I don't really have a writing routine. After years of trying to make myself have a writing routine, I eventually decided that it was not worth it for me to try and force myself into a routine, because there's so many things that get in the way of me being able to have a routine. It's just best that I don't have one. And actually, if I don't have a writing routine, paradoxically, I tend to get more writing done. The
Interesting.
minute I tell myself I have to sit down at this time on this day and this is my space for writing, you can guarantee I will not be sat there doing that writing at that time. Partly because of time blindness, partly because of being highly distractible, and partly because of demand avoidance. If something feels like I should do, got to, must, have to, ought to, I will just resist it. And that's not a choice thing. That is an observed feature of, many neurodivergent people. So I do not have a writing routine. Having said that, if I do any writing, it tends to be in the morning. Mornings are when I am sharpest. I've learnt that, as much as I hate to admit it. I am much better in the morning. By around this time, I am done for the day. I don't want to do anything. Um, probably I'd say from between the hours of 2 o'clock and 6 o'clock, I go into some kind of strange hibernation mode where literally I can't really do anything. So the best time for me is in the morning. That's when I write. And I write in all kinds of places. Sometimes I write downstairs, sometimes I write here at my desk, sometimes I sit on the floor, on a cushion, sometimes I'm in a coffee shop, sometimes I'm in the library. I do really love being in the library, I have to say. That's one of my favourite places to write. They're like churches for me, libraries.
Yeah.
I tend to use the university library where I work, which is a brilliant perk of working for universities. I get access to all those lovely books and just a really lovely space. So yeah, that's where I tend to write.
I heard you say in an interview that you were doing the morning pages from the Artist's Way.
Yeah,
I've just been trying to do that myself this year. It's kind of a New Year's resolution.
great, good for you.
Yeah, but it's quite hard. It's a lot more pages. It's a lot more words than I thought it was. It takes some
Yeah,
time anyway.
it takes me a good 20-25 minutes, I think, to do my morning pages. It's second nature to me now, Mary. Keep at it. It will feel like that. I was talking to somebody about this in the group mentoring actually the other day, because they were talking about finding it hard to just kind of get it done and wondering if there was any value in it, if they did not, if they weren't enjoying it, or if it felt boring or difficult or whatever. And I know what they mean, and I would be the last person to ever tell anybody to do anything that they really don't want to do. I really don't think anybody should do that. But having said that, I kind of feel a bit like, for me, the morning pages feels like cleaning my teeth. Sometimes it's not a job that I really want to do. It's not something it feels boring sometimes. Sometimes the stuff that I'm writing in my morning pages is just not, it's just garbage. It's just me usually moaning about stuff. That's
Yeah.
very, very heavy on the moaning, my
Yes.
one
It's
page.
fine.
Yeah,
What am
quite
I annoyed
heavy.
about today? Oh, here you go.
Yeah,
Here's a list.
exactly. What am I angry and resentful about today? What am I bitter and twisted about?
Yep.
So that all goes into, yeah, so it often, it does feel like a grind, but it feel just like cleaning my teeth. I know that I've got to do it. I know that I've got to do it. I know that I'll feel better when I've done it. And it's just necessary. It's just a necessary thing that I have to do now. And I do feel like there's a benefit to it, partly because it's so difficult for me and for people that are like me to develop anything that's approaching like consistency or a routine. The morning pages is the one thing that I do, and I do it consistently, and I've probably been doing it now consistently for 5 years, I'd say.
Mm.
Occasionally I miss, occasionally I do miss, not very often, but I do. And when I do, I really miss it, which is interesting because even though, like, in the moment, it feels like, like my client said the other day, I'm not sure this is doing me any good, but I don't feel right if I've not done it. So it must be doing something. And I think, like Julia Cameron talks about in The Artist's Way, which is just such a great book, it just feels like it's a way for me of just reconnecting with myself first thing in the morning before I do anything else. Just kind of getting back into myself before my head is off into the day. I need that pause to just kind of let everything settle,
Yeah.
before my brain starts pulling its usual nonsense and trying to pull me off in a million different directions. The morning pages is that pause for me. So yeah, it almost feels like a necessary evil sometimes. It's just something I've got to do.
I can definitely see it becoming that. Yeah.
And is somebody able just to explain for a little bit for the people who don't know what the morning pages is?
What it entails. So what it entails, well, here's what it looks like for me. It looks like me rolling out of bed and fetching coffee immediately. And I have a coffee machine for that purpose. So
Mm.
there's one ready for me downstairs. So I pour myself a cup of coffee and then I get my notepad, my notebook out, and I write 3 pages. There's some she's not particularly clear, I think, in the book how big the pages should be. Mine's A5. That's what I do.
So we've got the tool book, her latest book is we were promoting it with Writing Magazine, which is why we're doing the pages.
Okay.
And she says A4. So I found it
A4.
really hard because I always write A5. So now I've got this big A4 and it's so much to fill.
You
But
just
I
have
do
to
like
make your letters bigger.
Yeah,
my
maybe
handwriting is awful. It's massive anyway. So
yeah. Yeah, my handwriting's pretty awful. Maybe I'll ramp it up then and see what that feels like.
Mm.
Yes, in any case, it's 3 pages of just stream of consciousness, just writing whatever comes to mind. And I've got really used to doing that now. And it doesn't feel, and the point is to keep your pen moving. Like, you don't stop to think, what do I write next? Just keep moving. So some of it can be really repetitive. Sometimes, my morning pages might often drift into me just repeatedly writing, I don't know what else to say, I don't know what else to say, I don't know what else to say, but sooner or later something else will come out of my pen. So it's a way of accessing um, stuff that might be quite deeply embedded that just really needs to bubble up to the surface, and writing is a way of doing that. The other thing to say as well, shouldn't really talk about this in the book, but I know that writing is very, very regulating. So for people that are dysregulated, that struggle to kind of manage that emotional internal thermostat, writing is a way of settling the nervous system down. So that's another benefit to it. It's certainly a benefit for me. I feel calmer when I've written 3 pages. So yeah, 3 pages, longhand. You're not supposed to type it. It's supposed to be longhand if you can. Every morning before you do anything else. But I allow myself to go and fetch coffee first.
get coffee first.
Get coffee first.
Yeah, that's important.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I can't do much without coffee.
No.
It's my one vice that I refuse to relinquish.
Yeah. I don't blame you, to be honest. I'm exactly the same. As soon as I get up, straight to the coffee machine, straight for a coffee, and then I
Love
can do
it.
anything.
I made myself sound really, really posh then by saying I have a coffee machine, and I feel compelled now to just describe my coffee machine to you. Yeah. So when I say coffee machine, what I mean is I've got a coffee pot, which was my mother's, and it was the one thing I wanted from the house when my mother died a few years ago. Like, I don't want anything else. I want the coffee machine. It's an old-fashioned percolator, the one that makes a noise.
Yeah.
So what I do is I set it up in the morning, and I've bought one of those plug sockets from Amazon that's got a timer on it. So I set it up so it turns on before I get out of bed. So it's not
Right.
like a big fancy, not the kind of coffee machine that you see in a coffee shop. It's not one of those. It's a pot that's just on a timer. But it's I'm not kidding. It's one of my favorite things in the world. It's one of the best things about my life. Apart from my children, apart from my kids and the dog, the coffee pot. I love it.
To be
That's a
fair,
good
that's
idea.
genius.
You can get a teas made, but not a coffee made.
I know, what's that all
Yeah.
about? Well, this kind of feels like like I've got a coffee made. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I could do one of them, to be fair. You might have to send me the link to that
I
pot.
will. I will do. I will.
So obviously, apart from having your coffee in the morning, making
Yes.
you ready and doing your pages, what does a typical working day look like for you? It must be tricky balancing all of your different roles.
Yeah, it is pretty nightmarish, really. So, to be honest, my days are very, very all over the place, and I make no apology for that, really. Like I said, I don't have much of a routine. I mean, when I am in a routine, it's usually because it's been externally imposed. So when I'm at work, I'm at work. Like I said, I've still got a day job. I work Monday to Friday during working hours and I'm seeing students, but I'm really lucky in the job that I've got because during vacation weeks, I'm not contracted to work, so I get summer off, which is amazing. And I get Christmas, I get 4 weeks of Christmas and 3 weeks at Easter, so I've got lots of time. But during teaching weeks, when students are in lectures, then I'm working in the middle of the day. So I get up stupidly early. This is probably going to upset everybody that's listening to this. I'm up at 5 in the morning, and and I've done that for so long now that it doesn't feel like a major thing for me. And I need to be up at that time because I'm best in the morning. So if I'm up at that time, it means that I have got time then to do all the things that matter for me. So that is writing my morning pages. I have to do some stretching because I'm perimenopausal and my joints are knackered. So it's very important that I stretch in the morning. So I do that. I wouldn't go so far as to call it yoga. It's just stretching. I walk the dog. And I usually do some form of some kind of creative work in the morning, whether that's being involved in my current work in progress, or whether that is coming up with content for newsletters or social media, or coming up with material that I am delivering for training. That all happens in the morning. And what I like about that is that nobody interrupts me because it's so early. Nobody else is up. So I get to do all of that stuff, which then means that I can go into the rest of my kind of ordinary day, if you like, feeling incredibly smug because I've already done all the things that I really value, all my kind of high value activities I've done already. So then it doesn't really matter if I don't do anything else for the rest of the day after I finish work. So that's sort of what it looks like, but that can look quite different during the holidays. During the holidays, when I've not got as many people to see, it is all over the place. I couldn't even begin to tell you what a typical day looks like because there just isn't one. It's just not one.
With the
So-
kids as well.
Oh
So
yeah, God, I
at the
didn't even
same
mention the
time as
kids.
you.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean life can be pretty hectic, especially after school. I've got two children. I've got a 17-year-old, almost 17-year-old daughter who is actually pretty easy to manage. She's great. She's, never had a single tantrum. She's brilliant, really very, very easy to deal with. My son on the other hand is a little bit trickier. God bless him. He's just a tiny version of me, really. So he's got ADHD and he's also got Tourette syndrome as well. And he's also 13, so his hormones are raging. So he's just very difficult. He gets quite dysregulated, so I have to spend quite a lot of time, especially after school, with him, just helping him to kind of organize himself and helping him to kind of calm down if if something's gone off at school or if something's upset him because he's very, very rejection sensitive. And just listening to well, both of them actually, because my daughter talks incessantly as well. They both talk incessantly, and I talk incessantly. So it is chaos when we're all in the house after school, after college is out of the way. It's just, yeah, like a zoo.
It sounds great.
It is great. I'm knackered most of the time, but It is great. I wouldn't really have it any other way, to be honest. And then we've got a dog in the mix as well, who's also completely nuts.
So what's next for you then as a writer? Is there something that you're working on at the minute that you can share with us?
There is, yes. So I'm working on a. I was just going to go off onto a million different tangents about all the ideas that I've got and all the other bits and pieces that I'm doing, but I'm just going to talk about this particular thing that I'm working on at the moment. So I'm working on a non-fiction book, which is pretty much about all of the stuff that we've been talking about today, really. So it's my take on that kind of intersection of neurodiversity, poverty, trauma, ill health, and writing. So I'm writing about all the stuff that gets in the way, all the reasons why that stuff gets in the way, how those different things overlap with each other. And I'm dividing that into different sections. And what I'm hoping is that this will also be a bit of a, not a workbook, but kind of a guidebook. So I'm going to include the stuff, I guess, that I talk about. I guess it's sort of a beefed up book version of the course that I run, the Neurodivergent Writers Toolkit, with more of an emphasis on the reasons why we find it so difficult to get going, and the reasons why so many of us are struggling with ill health and also skint and behind and fed up. And I don't have, I've not got a title for it yet. My working title in my brain is There's No Wonder You're Not Writing, but I'm not sure if that's what it's going to be called yet. So that's what I'm working on. I'm just still doing some research. So I'm trying to talk to as many neurodivergent writers as possible. And that includes all kinds of different writers. So freelancers, academics, fiction writers, people that write for fun, people that write for a career, copywriters, anybody that I can get my hands on who's willing to talk to me about their experiences. So I'm just gathering information, talking to people, and just starting to pull all of that together and figure out exactly what it is that I'm trying to say. So yes, that is the current work in progress. Never mind the novels that I've got on the back burner.
The next question was the sort of standard, what advice would you give to aspiring writers? But maybe there's something in the new book, just one piece that you could give us from there. That's a really good bit of advice.
Try to think as little as possible. Thinking is the enemy. Try to get out of your own head. The less thinking you can do, the better. It's thinking. My best thinking got me nowhere. So it's the action that matters.
We always end by asking for a book recommendation.
And this is the one thing that I prepared before I logged on today. So I am going to recommend a book called Stoner by John Williams, which I read. Have either of you two read that one?
I think I've read it. I definitely have heard of it.
No, I've not heard of it.
Yeah, so I came across this book around Christmas. Never heard of it before, never heard of this author. It's quite an old book now. I think he wrote it maybe in the 60s or 70s. It's set in the 50s though, 1950s America. It's absolutely brilliant. It's probably one of the most perfect novels I think I have ever read. And it's literally just a story about a man's life. The story about the title Stoner, because it put me off at first. I thought if this is going to be some dreary, tiresome drunkalogue about, some, hippie in California in the 1960s, I am not interested. But it's not about cannabis at all. It's the name of the character. The character is called William Stoner. So it's his surname. So, and it's literally just about his life. It's just a book about this man's marriage and his career and what happens to him. And it's just beautiful. The prose is beautiful. There's very little plot to it, actually. Not a great deal happens to this man. It's an ordinary, unremarkable life. But somehow it is just, it's just gorgeous. Loved it. And I blazed through it in like 3 days. Could not put it down, just blazed through it. Read it cover to cover, 3 days. Bosh. And then sat back and thought, well, if I lived to be 1,000,000, I could never write something like that. That's so negative. But yeah, it is the kind of book that makes you think, God, it's amazing that something like that exists. I just loved it. Loved it.
I'm gonna get that out from the library again.
Definitely recommend.
I think that's the one thing from doing these podcasts is that my list of books to read now is getting
Yeah.
longer and longer and
Massive, massive list. I know. I've got a huge list as well.
longer. Fab. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It's been so great to speak to you.
A pleasure.
Yeah, so I mean, if anybody wants to buy Amanda's book, it's available to purchase. And if anybody's interested in any of her mentoring or services that she has to offer, make sure you get in touch with her. Fab.
Yeah, thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.